practice of creating policies that support those who have suffered from discrimination in the past and/or are considered a part of a minority group. A prime example of this can be seen in our education system in the past. There have been many instances in the history of the United States where affirmative action has been used in order to encourage the acceptance of individuals belonging to minority groups into the University of California education system. In a specific time period in the late 1900s, a 35-year-old white man named Alan Bakke had applied for admission into the University of California Medical School at Davis 2 times. Unfortunately, he was rejected both times and claimed that the reason behind the university's rejection was due to the fact that the school had reserved 16 spots for every 100 individuals that entered each class for racial minorities. They had reserved those spots as a part of their affirmative action program in order to encourage cultural activism so that minorities were able to enter the university and pursue careers in the medical profession. This issue was soon taken to court and became known as the Regents of the University of California v. Bakke court case. In this specific case, the petitioner and respondent can also be seen as the stakeholders. The petitioner are the Regents of the University of California, and the respondent is Alan Bakke. These two stakeholders hold very unique opinions and ideas about this controversial issue. When this case was brought to court, the Regents of the University of California were the petitioners that were represented by a lawyer named Archibald Cox. Alan Bakke was represented by a lawyer named Reynold H. Colvin. It can be inferred that the Regents of the University of California were advocating for affirmative action, while Alan Bakke was against affirmative action. The ideas and opinions of both sides were portrayed to the judge and jury through the attorney's arguments. In the court case, Regents of the University of California v. Bakke, Archibald Cox states that affirmative action programs should be used because they give racial minorities that have been discriminated against previously the opportunities that they deserve. This image shows how affirmative action programs are meant to give assistance to minorities. The image shows a hand reaching out to someone that is in need. The individual that has his or her hand out on the bottom of the picture is a representation of the underrepresented racial minorities who are deprived of opportunities. The hand that is reaching out is a representation of affirmative action programs. The three individuals on the ledge are meant to show those who are already given opportunities that minorities are unfortunately not. Affirmative action programs are meant to correct California's past mistakes and give assistance to those who have been deprived of higher education. However, Reynold H. Colvin, who is arguing for the other side, suggests that affirmative action programs are unconstitutional because they violate the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment. This image allows us to conclude that affirmative action programs can be considered to be unconstitutional because of the fact that they exclude some individuals on the basis of race. If universities in California implemented any types of affirmative action programs today, they would be in clear violation of this law. There has always been that mindset that everyone is equal and that there should be no superiority. But by having affirmative action, we are not equal because there is racial preference. Students that don't belong to the racial minority group are given an unfair advantage during the college admission process. Everyone should have been given an equal chance at admission into the university, no matter what race they belong to. On the other hand, according to Archibald Cox, affirmative action programs should be implemented in order to increase the number of minorities that are being admitted into the university. This picture shows African American and Latino students protesting and fighting to keep affirmative action programs alive. They agree with Archibald Cox's position, and their goal is to increase minority enrollment in higher education. Affirmative action programs encourage and aid individuals to enroll and eventually be accepted to higher colleges and universities. The image shows how they are fighting for integration and equality for all racial minorities. They are advocating and being the voice for underrepresented racial minorities so that they can be given the same level of education as everyone else. While Archibald Cox agrees and supports affirmative action programs, Reynold H. Colvin suggests that race should not be the reason why one is deprived of an opportunity to attend a prestige college or university. This image shows how affirmative action programs give priority to certain groups when they should not. The college admission process is already a difficult one. The process should not be made more difficult by giving advantages to one group of people and not giving that same advantage to everyone. If one person is being given priority, then everyone should be given that same priority. This image shows the rejection letters of all the people that were not accepted into universities, and also shows someone that was accepted because they were part of an affirmative action program. This suggests that the individuals that were not accepted were rejected because their spot was given to someone who was in an affirmative action program. Archibald Cox argues against Colvin by stating that affirmative action programs are important for students in order to expose individuals to diversity that they may not have experienced before. This image supports affirmative action because it shows how the Supreme Court supports affirmative action programs that are put in place to increase diversity in colleges and universities around California. The courts are in favor of affirmative action when it is being used to increase the amount of positive benefits for students. When students are exposed to a more diverse population, they are able to understand different cultures. Diverse campuses help them understand the different perspectives of the world that exist within that student body. A more diverse campus population can inspire creativity and innovation among all the students at that specific university. From the two unique and very different positions that the two stakeholders have, we can observe that this issue is very controversial. Many people have different opinions in support of or even against affirmative action. It has always been and will continue to be something that is disputed by many Americans. These programs are meant to influence and encourage students in positive ways. Before developing a stance on this topic, it is important to consider that affirmative action is beneficial by atoning for historical oppression and leveling the uneven playing field between races. It also improves learning environments through the diversification of institutions and the reduction of racial hostility and stereotypes. When college students are exposed to different cultures, they are setting themselves up to be integrated into society through a smoother transition.